Mr. Brickner, the Moores are here. This is 2329580T. This is a Shock Investment Properties versus Jacob Moore. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning. Sorry. Good morning, Your Honor. Barry Brickner on behalf of the Shock of Properties.
State your name for me, sir. Mr. Moore.
Jacob Moore. Jacob
Thank you.
Moore.
Today is the day and time set for the adjourned hearing in this matter. This is a non-payment of rent case. Mr. Brickner, how much is due to your client in past due rent?
Sorry, Your Honor. I rearranged everything and I hid my sheet. There it is. Currently, there's due $3,750 in past due rent, $164 in court costs. There's currently $650 being escrowed with the court.
Mr. Moore, were you able to hear Mr. Brickner just now?
Yes.
We heard him, and Your Honor, we emailed you another adjournment this morning because his client has prevented us from getting an inspection per the Sumter Township Ordinance Officer because he hasn't applied for proper.
Your Honor, she's not a party to this action, but she talks a lot.
I pay the rent.
Okay.
I live there.
No, ma'am, that's not helpful. And Mr. Brickner, that wasn't necessary. My question to you was a simple question. Were you able to hear Mr. Brickner just now regarding the past due rent?
Yes, I was.
Do you admit that that is the amount of past due rent, or do you have a defense to this action?
No, I object to it because it's not how much is owed, ma'am.
You object to it because what, Mr. Moore?
That is not how much is owed to him.
Okay. I see that Mr. Brickner's client is also on. We have a docket of not quite 40 cases this morning. We can do one of two things. You can come back at the end of the docket, have your witnesses and paperwork ready, and I'm projecting the end of the docket to be about 10:30 or so, or you can come back next week on the 14th or 16th. The court has no preference, but I want to allow you time to present the witnesses and documents that you need to present. Mr. Brickner.
10:30 would be fine, Your Honor. The only thing I want to point out is that they did file an answer, and in the answer admitted he owed the rent. So
Jake.
He wrote the answer.
Mr. Brickner, is this your only case this morning?
That's it, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, are you able to log back on at about 10:30, sir?
I don't think so. I need the inspection sheet so I can have my paperwork ready, ma'am.
What does the inspection sheet have to do with rent, Mr. Moore?
This is not different. This is for a storage unit, not the house that I'm living. And just as
I'm aware, Mr. Moore.
Yes,
Mr. Moore, I'm aware of that. My question to you is, can you log back on at 10:30? You said no.
Okay. I'm at the doctor's office right now, ma'am.
So okay. Then we will no. That's not how this court operates. Mr. Brickner, we'll put this matter over. Are you available next Wednesday, the 16th?
I'll tell you in a second, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'm available next Wednesday, Your Honor. The only thing that I request the court did enter an escrow order, and they made the first payment. They didn't make the second payment. It was due on the 7th.
What we will do is adjourn this matter to next Wednesday, August the 16th at 1 p.m. on Zoom. Mr. and Mrs. Moore, Mr. Moore is the only named defendant in this matter, but you need to submit anything that you want the court to consider before that court date. I heard Ms. Moore indicate that there was something filed with the court. Because of my file, things have to be filed 3 days before the hearing. Notice will be mailed out to the parties to appear on Zoom back here with me, courtroom number 1, Wednesday at 1 p.m. If you have not made the escrow that was ordered, you need to do that. If that second escrow payment hasn't been made before that hearing date, the court will not allow you to proceed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, Mr. Brickner?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'll see you next week.
May I have permission of the court to leave the court?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr.
Mr.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now we're looking for a PNC. There's the courthouse. There's a PNC right here. Make a right, and it should be parked in the back. There it is. Pull it in front. All right, let's go in. Yeah. Make sure your hair's get it posted as early as possible. Yeah. What I can do is also your front is get your hair. Yes, yes, please, because I'm in court right now. I'm in court. Look, I'm in court. I'm in court. So let me call you back in a minute. I'm in court. All right, thank you. This is just right. I called. I'm the lady with the fraud problem.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I don't know if you're aware of this fact, but you are not muted. This court is actively in session. Every
Excuse me,
conversation you're having is being transmitted. This is 232958LT. This is Ashaka Investment versus Jacob Moore. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Barry Brickner on behalf of Ashaka Investments. My client is also here. Baha, you want to unmute?
Mr. Moore, state your name for the record.
Yes.
Jacob Moore.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for hearing on the non-payment of rent for the storage listed in the complaint. Mr. Brickner, are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the fifth hearing on the matter. It was adjourned so they could get an attorney. I haven't been contacted by anybody.
Mr. Moore, are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, can I have the next friend talk to me, please? Because I'm dealing with some issues. My mother just died.
Mr. Moore, my condolences to you. But this court is not allowed to have a non-attorney represent your interest in this matter.
I'm also his power of attorney.
I understand that, ma'am, but you are not authorized to represent someone else's interest in a legal proceeding. Power of attorney does not give you that right, does not convey that status on you.
Actually, it allows me to speak in on his behalf, according to several attorneys we spoke with that wouldn't take the case. Excuse me. And all I'm asking is if you could give us a couple of hours and put us towards the end of the docket so we can try to get you some things. There are a couple of things going on other than just the funeral. That's why I try to get an extension, even if it's for a few days.
Respectfully, ma'am, this is the end of the docket. This court's next case is not scheduled until 1 p.m. The court did receive the request for an adjournment, and the issue is that this matter has been adjourned, as Mr. Brickner indicated, has been adjourned a few times already. And each time the court has been ready to call, the case, Mr. Moore is not ready. You've been in the lobby of, I believe, the clinic, out in a car, just not prepared to have the matter heard. So I understand life happens and people have other obligations, but when we're talking about an adjourned hearing, a hearing adjourned at your request or at the defendant's request, I expect the defendant to be prepared to proceed, and the court will not allow you to represent his interest in this matter. If the attorneys told you that the power of attorney were sufficient for you to represent another person, that is inaccurate. And if I allow you to speak on his behalf, Mr. Brickner will object. He indicated at the last hearing that it was the unauthorized practice of law. This court cannot condone, support, or encourage that activity. That being the case.
Yes, ma'am. Since we are all suffering from major grief, his mother was 92 years old and she just passed. And they're dealing with funeral arrangements that's supposed to happen on Thursday. Respectfully, I would like to ask you for adjournment for a couple of days if I can, please. Until I at least bury my mother. They have the escrow.
Your Honor, the last time we were here, they said they need an adjournment so he could hire an attorney. I'm sorry for the passing of his mother, but the fact of the matter is that this keeps getting stretched out. Escrow is due today, wasn't paid. There's currently a rent in the amount of $4,500, including late fees and court costs in the amount of $164. There's $1,300 in escrow. This is commercial. This is a storage facility, Your Honor. It's not a residential. We actually sent the court because they were complaining about either mice or rats, and my client did hire an exterminator. We sent in a copy of the bill to show that he has done that. The whole building is the residential portion is being inspected by the city, and there was a few things that had to be done, but it didn't deal with health. And but that's irrelevant because this is storage facility, and we're just asking for. They didn't deny that they are in possession of the premises of the storage facility, and they didn't deny that they owed rent. They're giving reasons why they shouldn't have to pay rent on what's considered to be commercial property. I'm asking that the court enter a judgment in the amount of $4,500 for rent and late fees, $164 in costs, and give them credit for $1,300 that was been paid in escrow, and ask that that be released to the landlord.
Good.
Mr. Moore, have you heard Mr. Brickner indicate that there's $4,500 in rent due on this storage?
I object to that, Your Honor. We had an issue with the court, which I have the paper right here in my hand showing that we have money. It was just that it was a fraud case on the case that has the money in it. So they set the account.
Mr. Moore, my question to you is there $4,500 in rent and late fees due for the storage of the property at issue?
No, ma'am.
Have you submitted? Go ahead, Mr. Brickner.
I mean, the simple question, if I might, Your Honor. Mr. Moore, did you sign a lease?
Yes, I signed
the storage facility on October the 15th, 2022.
Yeah, illegal lease, yes.
Did you?
Then Mr. Brickner, no, we're not going to do it that way. The court is prepared to swear in the witnesses and take the testimony this morning.
Okay. All right, Your Honor.
That being the case having been called, the parties' appearances having been noted, Mr. Brickner, do you have any opening statement in this matter?
Your Honor, I'll just repeat what I stated, that there's the rent, there was a lease dated October the 15th, 2022. It's a 1-year lease. The rental for the premises was $650 per month. When it's not paid on time, there's a $100 late fee. We're indicating that April, May, June, July, August, and September rents have not been paid. Obviously, then there's court costs. And that I will indicate to the court that the court did enter an escrow order, and so far July's rent and August rent has been placed in escrow at $650. And this is it actually says that the court should have a copy of the lease because it was filed with the complaint, and the court will note it's a commercial real estate lease, and there are obviously differences between commercial and residential real estate. And it's our intention to show that that's how much rent is owed, that the Mr. Moore's still in possession of the property. He is using it for storage, and that the landlord's entitled to his rent.
Mr. Moore, do you have any opening statement?
Yes. Okay. First, we found out that it was an illegal lease. Once we signed this, we had no certificates of occupancy or anything to back up that we was there until we had all these issues with stuff. Was the power and everything that was promised to us was not on. And we had to keep calling him to get power, and then he came out. We didn't have power for like 4 or 5 months. And then he came out and hooked the power back up because somebody unplugged the power.
That's not true.
It's not true.
But
then we had rats. I have it in text messages also. We had rats and flies and stuff, and then stolen items from out of our unit.
Anything else for your opening statement, Mr. Moore?
And then also that the female that you were talking to, Miss Wilson, does live there too. And she's the one.
Sir, you have the absolute right to call her as a witness when you're putting on your defense to this case. But for right now, the court's question is, are you done with your opening statement, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Brickner, your first witness.
I'll call Mr. Moore, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, raise your right hand for me, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may put your hand down, Mr. Brickner.
Mr. Moore, do you recall you received a copy of the complaint for this action, correct?
Yes.
We didn't, and you got a copy of the complaint, and it was attached to the complaint. Did you get a copy of the commercial real estate lease?
Yes.
Okay. And the court also, Your Honor, do you want me to go through and formally introduce the lease? It's a part of the court's record anyway.
Well, he's acknowledged receipt of it. It is in court file, sir, so it is part of the, it's already part of the proceedings.
The copy of the lease that you received is the same lease that you signed. Your signature's on the lease.
oh Lord, he passed out. He passed out. He suffers from vertigo. He had a stroke. You say I can't speak for him, so I mean, I don't know what to tell you, Your Honor. He's grieving real bad. I don't know what to tell you, Your Honor.
Well,
Ms. Wilson, here's the issue. Here's the issue from this court's perspective. And we had the conversation at the last hearing. The demand for possession in this matter was signed on May the 18th, 2023. At the end of that paper, it lists the right to have legal services. At the first hearing in this matter, hearing of this matter, my resolve would have gone over those rights as well. You have had now almost 3 months to call over 3 months to call and retain an attorney.
We have been calling.
Today is the day and time scheduled.
Favor the landlord and won't represent us. And Lakeshore Legal Aid, we talked to them this morning. They're sending an emergency email trying to get someone in to help us. But this is the day after the holiday. The day after the holiday, we're at the bank trying to get your money to put in an escrow. Giving this gentleman 1 more week is not going to hurt anyone. His money is sitting there in your account.
You are doing exactly what the court said you cannot do. You cannot represent his interests, and you show Mr. Moore sitting on the floor. You show Mr. Moore sitting on the floor, and here's the other issue. You Mr. Moore knew that this case was scheduled this morning at 11 a.m. You should not have been anywhere other than a quiet area to conduct the hearing of
We
this
are.
matter.
This is a quiet area, ma'am. This is a quiet area. I'm just asking for time for him to try to recover. He's sick and he's mentally, his 92-year-old mother died, ma'am. Just give him a couple days. Please. Just a couple days. I'm the one who paid the bills, okay? Yeah, the escrow money I can have it because of the holiday. My check was late. I can have it in a day or two, please, ma'am. I'm begging you.
Well, Your Honor, while he's recuperating, maybe I can just put testimony on from my client.
How do you put testimony on when a necessary party, the named defendant, is unavailable?
I don't know what to tell the court. Again, this is our fifth appearance on a landlord-tenant case on a commercial property.
I'm sorry, we can't do this here. I need you to agree on that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Take it slow. Take it slow. Please, I can't pick you up. Take it slow.
Ms. Wilson, where are you?
I'm at the bank trying to clear up a problem that I have so I can bring the money to you. I was hit with fraud and my account was frozen, so I was taking care of that to bring the money to the court today. Because per the contract, I have today to get the money in. So I was trying to handle that for him because it's a lot that's hit this family right now. You know, and I'm just asking for a couple of days to give Lakeshore Legal Aid a chance to come in.
Ma'am, where is Mr. Moore?
He's sitting outside. He's sitting outside, or he's trying to make it now to the car to sit down.
Ma'am, I'll say it for the third and the last time. Today is the day and time set for the hearing in this matter.
1 second, I'm almost to the
Mr. Brickner is here. Mr. Brickner is here. His client is here. We adjourn this matter specifically to get to the bottom of the complaint and the answer that was filed. If Mr. Moore is unable to participate in these proceedings and absence himself from these proceedings, the court has no alternative other than to enter a ruling in favor of the plaintiff.
Hold on 1 second.
Uncontroverted.
Here. She says if you won't talk today, she's going to enter for him.
Hello. Hello.
Mr. Moore, are you in a position to answer Mr. Brickner's questions?
Not really.
He asked you about signing. You said not really?
Not really.
Mr. Brickner.
Your Honor, then if he's can't answer the questions, then I can have my client testify as to what is owed. And it'll be up to him to deny it. And I can cross-examine him at that point in time.
Mr. Moore, how did you intend to proceed this morning, sir?
I plan on asking for an adjournment so I can take care of the things I need to take care of with my mother.
Your Honor, when this thing started, it appeared that Mr. Moore was driving. Mrs. Wilson was in the passenger seat. He was in the driver's seat. I don't know what's going on here, Your Honor. I can proceed with my own client.
Mr. Moore,
Yes,
we will continue with this matter this morning. Mr. Brickner is correct. This matter was adjourned twice previously at your request. The court received a last-minute request for an adjournment of this case. And although I understand that you are bereaved, this is a case that's been pending in this court now for 3 months. So Mr. Brickner's question to you was regarding the lease that you signed last year.
Yes, ma'am.
You signed a
Mr.
lease?
Brickner.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand him. You admit to signing the lease, Mr. Moore?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, and this was for this particular lease was for storage facility, correct? Next to your apartment?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you can you tell me how much the rent was per month?
I don't know how much it was.
Well, did the lease indicates that the amount of the rent for the full year was $7,800? You divide that by 12, is that $650 a month? Is that what your rent is for the storage facility?
I don't handle the bills. She handles the bills.
All right. Did you pay rent for the month of April?
I don't know. She handles the bills, sir.
Do you know if you paid months for April, May, June, July, August, or September?
I have no idea if she take care of the bills, sir.
Okay. Evidently, he's not in a position to answer the questions, Your Honor. If I just allow me to do cross-examination if he decides to testify, and I'll ask that and I'll go and get the information from my own client.
Thank you. Your client's name, sir?
Baha.
Baha
Tell me your
Najm.
name. I'm sorry.
Baha Najm.
You want to spell
Would you
your
spell
name?
your name for me, sir?
Bahaa. Last name Najm. Najem.
Thank
Mr.
you. Mr.
Najm,
Najjar, raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may put your hand down.
okay. Mr. Najm, can you tell us what are you the owner of Ashaka Investment Properties?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how long has the Ashaka owned the property?
For a little bit over 2 years.
And it's been in your family for a while, is that correct?
Yeah, my uncle owned it before me.
Okay. And can you are you familiar with 21620 Sumter Road, the storage facility in the city of Belleville?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's in what type of a building is this?
It's mixed use building.
So do you have residential
Yeah, residential and commercial.
and you have storage?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had the building inspected recently?
Yes.
And you're working with the city. You're working with the city to make sure everything's up to code, correct?
That is correct.
Have they done their final inspection yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Was the storage facility part of the inspection, or just the residential?
Just the residential.
Okay. Did you enter into a lease with Mr. Moore in October of last year?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell me what the rental rate is?
$650 a month.
Do you have a late fee?
Yes, I do.
How much is the late fee?
$100 a month.
And do you know when the late fee kicks in?
5th day after
Okay.
the due date.
And how much is the late fee?
$100.
Did you get the rent for the month of April of 2022?
Yes, I did.
You got paid for April of 2022?
I'm sorry. No, I got last payment was March.
Okay, so have you been paid for April's rent of this year?
No, sir.
Have you been paid for May's rent of this year?
No, sir.
Have you been paid for June's rent of this year?
No, sir.
Have you been paid for July's rent of this year?
No, sir.
Have you been paid for August's rent of this year?
No, sir.
Have you been paid for September's rent of this year?
No, sir.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months rent you haven't received, plus obviously they're late because you didn't get paid, correct?
Correct.
So the amount of rent and late fees is that $4,500?
That is correct.
And that'll pay you through the end of September this year.
That is correct.
Now, you've heard some complaints about power in the storage unit. Is there any power in the storage unit?
No, basically, I had an extension cord from my the basement. We have power in the basement. I have extension cord. They have just 2 small lights that hook up to an extension cord, and we just provide those lights for them when it's dark.
Okay, is there windows or a door to the facility?
Yes, there is 2 double door.
So if they open the double doors, it lights the facility, correct?
Correct.
Is anybody living down? Is anybody living in that facility?
No.
It's strictly storage.
I'm sorry, sir. Did you say you object?
Yes, I do.
The basis of your objection, sir.
The objection is that when you open the doors, there's not enough light coming through the doors to see stuff.
Oh, Mr. Moore, that's not a legal objection. You will have the opportunity to ask Mr. Najjar questions and
Yes,
provide
ma'am.
testimony when you put on your defense. Thank you. Mr. Najjar, I'm sorry, Mr. Brickner, your next question, sir.
Okay. Have you been in the storage facility since Mr. Moore took possession?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Is Mr. Moore still in possession of the rent of the storage facility?
Yes, he is.
Is there any of your possessions in the storage facility?
No.
Is there stuff in this? What's in the storage facility?
They have random stuff, like boxes and some toy stuff, toys for kids. And I would say it's almost empty. They have stuff that approximately is 20 to 30% full.
Have you been in and out of that storage facility during the time that they've rented when Mr. Moore rented it? It's not them, it's him.
Recently,
have you
yes.
seen any? Is the same amount of their personal items still there that's always been there?
Some of it, yeah. Some of it got removed, and they probably added a few more things. From what I can see, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention when I go in on their stuff.
Okay, and the storage facility has lights, and how are the lights hooked into a power source outside of the facility?
The lights that I added, or you mean the storage itself came with lights?
Does the storage itself have lights in it?
No, it does not.
Okay, so how does the place get lit up?
Well, we have the extension cord from the basement to turn on 2 lights for them. That's what they requested. They said that was good enough for them.
Okay, so you're paying for the electricity, though, right?
Correct.
They don't pay. He doesn't pay for electricity.
No, he does not.
Okay. And have you done anything about? There's been some complaints about rodents. Have you done anything about that?
Yes. Well, the first time that they complained, I had those gluing stuff that you put, you put peanut butter on them, and we caught, I believe, 2, and then they kept on complaining. So I hired a professional pet control to come and put everything in there.
Do you have? It's not just in that facility; it's all over the building, correct?
No, it's only in this facility.
Oh, okay, and
yeah.
And Your Honor, we submitted. I don't know if the court got it. We submitted an invoice from the pest control company. Do you know how much you paid the pest control company to?
$200.
Okay, and that was. that was in August.
Correct, yes.
Okay. I don't know if it makes a difference to the court, but if we had sent in a copy of the honey pest control bill. I don't know if the court has that.
Did you, the court did receive it. Did you send a copy to Mr. Moore?
Mr. Moore was there when the pet control people were there. We had to have access to the place.
So we're not charging Mr. Moore for the pest control, Your Honor, just doing it to show you that it was done.
Mr. Brickner, the question was, did you show him? You want the court to consider it. So the question was, did you show Mr. Moore the receipt? Or are you just bringing it up to indicate that pest control?
Hold on a second, Your
services
Honor.
have
I'm
been
going to
done?
mute you. Hold on a second, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Your Honor. We just received it late last week. I was out of town. It was submitted to the court so that the court would have a copy of it. Obviously, it's Zoom is Zoom, so we were happy to get it to the court. The only reason I bring this up, Your Honor, is to show that, in fact, Mr. Mike Baja has actually done something about the complaint about pests in that particular area. That's the only reason I raised the issue.
Understood.
So,
Resume questioning.
all right, okay. Well, so, Baja, you heard the complaint and you about rodents, and you did something about it. You didn't ignore it.
No, not at all. That was with the pet control. It was our third time going in there. Two times we tried to do it with the glue packs, and we caught 2 of them, I believe. And even though we had like 4 or 5 of them in the storage, it was one spot that we caught 2 at the same spot.
Did you caught it since the pest control's been there? Is there any other indication that there might be rodents in there?
No, sir.
Okay,
Not that I heard anyone complain.
Okay, but as far as you know, Mr. Moore you didn't remove anything from Mr. Moore's storage facility, correct?
No, I have not.
You didn't have any of your workers do anything of that nature?
No, they have not took anything out of there.
Okay, so
they had to run a camera wire, and they had left the door that is connected to the other place. They had left the door open.
But that's not
my
it.
guy
Didn't give access to Mr. Moore's storage facility, correct?
What was your question again?
Okay. You said you ran camera wire. Was that for security purposes?
Correct.
Okay. Now, at running the camera wire, you indicated that you left the door open. That wasn't in Mr. Moore's facility. It was on the other side, correct?
Well, there is a door between Mr. Moore and the other facility. Mr. Moore had left that door open. So when I sent my camera guy, did not know that was someone else's place. And they just went and ran the wire, and that's all they've done.
Okay, but that you didn't open the door to the outside, correct?
No,
Okay.
We did not.
Okay. So you've never removed anything from the storage facility?
No, not at all.
Okay. And your basic contention is that, well, Your Honor, do you want me to actually formally ask the court to accept the lease as evidence for like Exhibit 1, or you're just going to accept it as is?
Formally move for its admission, sir.
Okay. I move that they have the lease admitted for admission as the lease between the parties.
Any objection, Mr. Moore?
Yes, I object because it's an illegal
You
lease.
object?
Yes, I
You
object.
object to the lease?
Yes, I do.
Well,
What, your objection is that it's an illegal lease? Is that what you said, Mr. Moore?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not a valid objection to the court receiving a document. The court will receive it.
As far as the pest control thing, Your Honor, I don't know that I really have to admit that to the court, especially since Mr. Moore didn't get a copy of it. It was just to show the court that he hasn't ignored Mr. Moore. He's actually doing something. I have no further questions for Baha.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, do you have any questions for Mr. Najjar? Not your testimony, but any questions regarding his testimony?
Can I recall the witness later, Your Honor?
You may,
Hello?
sir.
Okay,
You may.
Okay, I would
Thank
like
you.
to call him later. Now, I want to call Dr. Wilson.
No,
to the
sir.
stand.
It's not yet, Mr.
No,
Moore.
not my turn? Okay,
Not your turn yet.
all right.
Mr. Brickner, do you have any other witnesses?
Well, is Mr. Moore capable of answering questions now? Is he sitting down?
It appears so.
Then can I resume examination of Mr. Moore, Your Honor?
Mr. Moore, are you prepared to be recalled?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You remain under oath, sir. Mr. Brickner, you may resume your examination.
All right. Mr. Moore, do you admit to having signed the lease that was been admitted to the court?
Signing a legal lease, yes.
Never mind, Your Honor. You signed, that's your signature on the bottom of the lease, correct?
Yes.
And do you admit that when you entered into the lease, the rent was supposed to be $650 a month?
I don't know how much the rent was. I told you that. I don't pay the rent.
Okay, so do you admit that the lease states that the rental space is $7,800 for the year?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Do you have a copy of the lease with you?
No, I do not.
Did you get a copy of the lease?
Yes.
You admit there's rent, you admit that you're renting the place, the storage facility, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and and do you admit that you have your possessions, stuff that belongs to you in the storage facility, or anybody else is living with you?
It's there. I do not handle the bills. He take care of the bills.
That wasn't the question I asked you. Do you have access to the storage facility?
Yes.
Do you have a key?
Yes.
Do you have possessions in the storage facility?
Yes.
Do other people have access to that live with you have access to the storage facility?
Just Shaka.
Okay, well, does Shaka have, if you know, does Shaka have property inside the storage facility?
Yes.
Okay, so you're literally in possession of the storage facility, correct?
Yes.
And you still have possessions in the storage facility?
Yes.
And I think you testified before that you don't know if your rent has been paid or not paid because you don't pay the rent, correct?
Yes.
So it very well might not have been paid, correct? You don't know.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay, but you do remember signing a lease. Yes. You don't know what the rent is.
No, I do not.
And you don't know when the rent was paid through.
No, I do not.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I
Mr.
have no further
Brickner, do you have
witnesses,
any
Your
other
Honor.
witnesses? Thank
No,
you.
Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, the plaintiff has concluded its case. Sir, do you have witnesses to present?
Yes.
Your witness, please, sir.
Shaka Wilson.
Ms. Wilson, please state your first and last name and spell them both for the record.
Okay, yeah,
Shaka Wilson.
Spell your first and last name, please.
Shaka. Wilson, Wilson.
Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Isn't it true that you take care of all the bills at our apartment?
Yes.
Is it also true that I have nothing to do with the financial part of our building?
Yes.
It's also that Shaka and them entered into the apartment without our storage, without our consent.
Yes.
Your Honor, I think I do it too, but it's all leading questions. Can you ask questions that she might be able to answer other than yes? I know this is difficult.
Mr. Moore, the objection is that your questions are leading.
My
So if you're
questions are
able to, leading, suggestive of the answer.
suggestion of it. Okay. So, all right. Yes, Your Honor. So, yeah. So, can we get a recusal of this?
A
Judicial
recusal?
Biden? Yes.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Mr. Moore.
Just a second.
I guess my basic objection, Your Honor, is he couldn't answer the questions himself, but he's asking yes or no questions now. So if he
He
wants to
said
ask,
he's asking for you to recuse yourself for judicial bias under MCR 2003, and we would like a higher judge to adjudicate this. That's what he's asking.
I'm
I'll
sorry,
object, Your
ma'am.
Honor.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Mr. Moore, you're asking for this case to be reassigned?
Yes, ma'am.
On what basis, sir?
On the basis that it's more, to me, it seems like it's more favoritism for them than it should be, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
On the basis that it seems like there's more favoritism for them than it should be, ma'am. And I'm sick right now too, so I would like a higher judge to look this over.
That would, Your Honor, I'm going to object. That would be in the form of appeal after the court has made a decision, and the court hasn't made a decision yet. As far as recusing Your Honor, I have no objections to the court continuing. It's obviously I've been doing this a little bit longer than Mr. Moore has, but this is. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I disagree with Mr. Moore's statement. I would ask the court to proceed.
Mr. Moore, anything else on your request for this court to recuse itself?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, the court having not made a ruling one way or another because proofs remain open, I'm not sure where the conclusion comes that the court has some bias against you or the position that you're taking. And if you would like to detail what you believe that bias is, the court will, of course, hear it, but I'm not sure what has transpired in this case that you think that there has been some bias.
Because I need somebody else to do this because I can't stand up and talk really for myself. I need to find someone to do it or let her stand in and talk for it because she also lives in the apartment. And he's also part of the storage unit also. It's her on the case as well as our children.
Mr. Moore, I understand that and have allowed some latitude in terms of how you're presenting yourself today and how questions are being asked and answered.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
It's not that I don't hear you. I'm trying to get us through this issue.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to resume your questioning of Ms. Wilson?
So you did. Okay, so excuse me a second. So you said that we should, instead of trying to get another judge, we should just go on with the case today?
Well, sir, you're asking that this case be reassigned because this court has shown some bias against you. And the question is, what do you believe that bias to be, considering that no ruling has been made on the proofs that have been presented so far, and that this court is continuing to take testimony?
Okay, but I'm disabled and I need her to stand in for me or someone to stand in for me and talk to me because I can't stand for a long time.
Mr. Moore, the issue is, and the conversation that was had at the last hearing is that this court cannot allow a non-attorney to represent you in this matter. It would be suborning the unauthorized practice of law, which this court is not allowed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I say I understand that there are some issues and the court's allowing a little latitude in how you present the things that you want to present, but this court cannot allow anyone else to represent you other than an attorney licensed in the state of Michigan or authorized to practice law in the state of Michigan.
So, Your Honor, okay, I understand what you're saying. So, but can we have a 3-day recess so I can at least bury my mother and then we can continue this?
Mr. Brickner.
I'm kind of booked, Your Honor. I mean, I had a few things up to say. So my problem is this: that normally it's, and I understand this is post-pandemic and everything takes longer than it should, but this is the 5th hearing on this matter, and they asked for a 2-week adjournment to get an attorney. They didn't get an attorney. And so far, he hasn't denied that he owes the rent. He admits he signed the lease. He admits he's in possession of the premises. He doesn't know how much the rent is, and he doesn't know if it's been paid or not. So far, he really hasn't done much to go against sort of the testimony that he signed the lease, what the rent was, and that he hasn't paid it since April. I don't know what adjourning this is going to do other than prolong the whole proceeding again. And I mean, I'm not going to make any other comments. The court's been, like, you've been on the bench for a long time. You've heard a lot of different stories, and I've been.
This is not a story. I wouldn't play with my mother, so it's not a story.
Mr. Moore, here's the issue, Mr. Brickner. This court has concerns. When I first walked through here, Ms. Wilson was on the screen. They were moving through some space. When the court is prepared to call the case, they appear to be sitting at a table. And then Mr. Moore was on the ground, and he has now moved to a different location, which their outside is 85 degrees by what this court is able to see. Mr. Moore or Ms. Wilson, I'm not sure who, reached out to this court civil department last week and indicated that there had been a death in the family, but because of the history of adjournments, I wanted the parties to come on this morning. I, at this time, do not feel comfortable proceeding. Mr. Moore appears to have deteriorated over the last 45 minutes since we started taking testimony in this matter. I do not believe that we can proceed at this time. And over your objection, Mr. Brickner, I'd like to adjourn this matter. You having closed your proofs, the defendant just having started to ask questions of its witness. It is highly irregular, Mr. Moore, but it is clear that you are not prepared to participate in the proceeding this morning. That being the case, Mr. Brickner, respectfully, I'm looking at September the 20th.
20th?
In the afternoon. It's a Wednesday. It's this court's landlord tenant date, September the 20th at maybe 1 p.m.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the escrow be continued, and if it's not paid today, because it was due today, that the case be, that a judgment enter.
I need a couple of days for this check to clear, Your Honor. And it will be.
Mr. Moore, Mr. Brickner, are you available on the 20th at 1 p.m.?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, are you available on the 20th, September 20th at 1 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Moore, just so we're clear and everyone's on the same page, on September 20th at 1 p.m., we will resume with the defendant's witness, plaintiffs having rest. You will deposit the escrow that's due for September by Friday, September the 8th, 2023 by 3 p.m. here at the 34th District Court. If that escrow payment is not posted by that date and time, there will not be an additional proceeding. When this court prepares to call the case on Wednesday, September the 20th at 1 p.m., you need to be somewhere where you are able to see and be seen, hear and be heard, and be ready to proceed. If you use these next 2 weeks to retain an attorney, they know how to make themselves known to this court by filing an appearance. We will be taking testimony. There will not be walking around, moving around. There will be testimony. If there's someone who supports you who needs to write out what it is that you'll be asking, you have 2 weeks now to get that done. But Mr. Brickner is accurate. These are called summary proceedings for a reason. They are supposed to be short and concise, and this is neither. That being the case, we now being on the same page, September the 20th, barring some catastrophe, will be the last hearing in this matter before judgment is entered. If there are documents that you want the court to consider, you must submit them to the court, copies to Mr. Brickner. There is not a screen sharing function in the Zoom meeting that will allow you to share documents on September the 20th. Mr. Brickner, anything else in this matter?
The only thing I would really like to point out to the court is this lease expires on the 14th of October.
I saw that this morning. Thank you, Mr. Brickner. Anything else, Mr. Moore?
No, ma'am.
Notice will be mailed to you, Ms. Wilson. I'm sure you've heard what the court just indicated on the record. I will see you on September the 20th at 1 p.m.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, for your time. I request the court to leave, your permission to leave the court.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Najjar, Mr. Moore, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Your
You're
Honor.
free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And this court